The corner, the corner, the corner. Hey, welcome. Come on into Cousin Ed's Corner. This podcast is where you will find real, authentic conversation, organic conversation, like you're at home with your cousin. It's about life, it's about finance, it's about spirituality, it's about love, and everything in between. I'm your host, Cousin Ed. I'm excited to bring you along on this journey to explore life. Listen, let's sit back and enjoy a wide range of topics. I have some diverse guests coming on, a wide range of spectrum of thoughts. My goal is to create a space for all of us to connect, all of us to learn each other, and all of us to communicate. It's really not about me. It's about the community as a whole. Let's enjoy this. Let's sit back. Let's think about our past. Let's move into our future. It's about the corner, the corner, the corner. So no matter how you cut it or slice it, we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. The corner, the corner, the corner.
What's good, people? How you doing out there? This is Destrin checking in from the Brethren Podcast. We're here with Cousin Ed, with Cousin Ed's Corner. What we wanted to let you know is, number one, we appreciate you checking in with us. We appreciate you liking, subscribing, and supporting the platform. We also wanted to let you know that this is information. This is used for informational purposes only. This is not financial advice and should not be used as such. Please consult your financial advisor should you feel the need to make an investment decision, a financial decision, or a decision that may be impactful to your family from a tax advantage standpoint. What we want to do is bring you content that is eye-opening, glaring, and also provides you the opportunity to explore, ask better questions, and be better prepared for the opportunities that await you. Again, this is Cousin Ed's Corner, and we hope that we can be of service to you. We love you. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We are back. We are back with another one. Cousin Ed's Corner, back at you again. And we have another expert on this week for Financial Freedom Friday coming at you this week just to talk about some key things that we may be missing in our life, our finances, trying to help us be a better us. And I say us, I'm talking about we as a people. We have people out here that's really trying to help us. And sometimes we miss the mark on knowing who's really about, helping the community. So I wanted to bring a friend, a confidant, someone who I trust, someone who I respect. Bring him on and have him talk to the community just about himself. Let you know his background, where he came from, but actually what he's out here doing to help the community. So, you want to go by the government name? How you want me to bring you in? Is it just Mr. Bill Wealth, or you want me to bring you in as the government?
Nah, let's do Mr. Bill Wealth. Let's do it.
Okay, Mr. Bill Wealth is with us today on Cousin Ed's Corner. What's up, fam?
Oh man, it's all good. It was funny, man. The fact that people started asking me that now, like how you want to be called. I'm like, I mean, if you know my government, great. But I really want you to think about this new person that I created, Mr. Bill Wealth. He's a whole problem, but he's a good problem to have. He's a good person to have in your life.
Trust me, my alter ego is Cousin Ed.
Right.
If you call my government, I'm looking around like, you must really know me.
Right.
So I definitely understand that. But like I said, as y'all can hear, we having fun with it. We know each other. I was introduced to him by another business partner of mine, and I won't even call him business partner, another brother of mine. Actually, you heard him on the beginning of this, Destrin Wells Consulting Group. My partner, my brother, he introduced me to this brother, and I was like, man, what you're doing right now means a lot. It means a lot to not only my family, but a bunch of families out here, and more people need to know about you. So on this series of Financial Freedom Friday, and especially the month of financial literacy and going forward, I wanted to bring a couple of people on that I really felt that was true and honest. I know when you talk about life insurance, when you talk about finances, people find that you may find untrustworthy people, but there's certain people that if you hear in my voice that I could say I know. Let me say that. I can't tell you, we blood brothers, but I could say I know certain people, and I'm bringing him on because I know him. So, Desher did give a disclaimer at the beginning. So, but nah, bro. You want to introduce yourself? I know I could read this bio that you sent me. I could read all about, your accolades, but you want to introduce yourself to the audience and let them know more about yourself. And I always give this, we don't want to hear the pamper story, but I do want to hear what made you, your upbringing, what made you who you are.
Yeah, so I'll start with I'm originally from Durham, North Carolina, and if anybody knows the history of Durham, there was a very vibrant Black Wall Street. It didn't get the same, I'll say, fanfare as Oklahoma and Tulsa, but there's a very vibrant Black Wall Street in my hometown. So I think I was kind of born into this, not knowing this, right? But being from Durham, and I'm the youngest of three, and I just watched how my parents moved. And I've watched them as I've gotten older, how they've moved into like retirement, and just how they've made decisions that were in the best interest of the family. And I don't think I really understood that until I really got into financial services, and you just didn't see people who looked like us. And I thought, well, that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of our communities, Black and brown, just don't have, I'll say, honest conversations about money. And so kind of being raised in that type of a structure where there was kind of that foundation built, like I almost felt like I gotta take the torch, like take the baton and run my part of this relay race. Parents set it up. They race is coming to an end, right? Don't know when, but they got to hand off that baton, and they've done a great job of kind of giving me that example, because I think that's what's missing in a lot of our communities. We just don't have the example, so therefore we don't believe we should be living this type of a lifestyle, like that we deserve the better things in life, the better things for our children. And so we kind of have this defeatist mindset, this impoverished mindset, right? So my whole MO these days is disrupting generational poverty. And I'm working to do that so your kids can live a life of privilege. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I know some people, they kind of cringe when you talk about privilege. I'm like, yeah, it's a good word in my book, because privileged people seem to get things done in this world. They tend to go to the schools they want to, pursue the careers they want. They seem happier. And so I wanted to figure out, like, what's this all about? Like, what's this money game about? What's this investment game, the insurance game, there's this whole psychological play around behavioral finance as to why we don't do certain things, although we know that we should do them. It's the weirdest thing, right? I can't figure it out because I can't get inside everybody's brain. I wish I could, and tie some things up and make some different connections inside our brains, because sometimes the way we're thinking have us stuck in this cycle of struggle.
Well, before you go back into yourself, you had a good point right now. Let me try to break it down or understand a little bit, right? So it's so true. I mean, you hit it on the head, right? But would you say a lot of it is programming? Would you say a lot of it is you can't say lack of knowledge, because the knowledge is in front of us, but is it that it got to be I always go back to the programming of the television, the styles, all those things that give us those visions that we have to do, have to be like the Joneses, have to be like the Kardashians, have to be this, have to be that. And if you even take it back to the roots, Shaka, the shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Would you agree with, or see it that way also?
Absolutely. There's been a lot that's played on our mental well-being. You think about just our health. You think about our pursuit of certain career fields. Like I think there's been a lot of brainwashing, and it's put us in this situation where, again, a lot of us just don't believe. So I respect the people who are like, oh, they're the first of such and such at this company in this industry. And I'm like, how is it that we're in 2023 and this is the first of whatever hire? It's like you're the first. So if it mentally, I don't even believe it because this is just the first.
2020.
Yeah. So whenever they announce it, they're the first of such and such at this institution, I'm just like, and it's private, nonprofit, it's academia. It's always like I'm like the first, and y'all been around 100 something years, the first.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's played on our ability to think we can even get to that level.
Well, what do we have? Academy Awards, 2 black actors.
I mean, look.
It's everywhere.
So, I mean, if you do the research on like these award shows and the Oscars and all of that, I mean, I would just recommend anybody go do the research on how these award shows got started. That's all I'll say. I'm not even gonna go into that rabbit hole, but just look at the history of how they started these things and who they honor, how they're selected. I mean, what's stopping me and you from just going around doing the same thing? Hey, man, we can give y'all. I mean, we can do the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. But their awards are so highly coveted, and so when we don't win, hell, if we don't even get nominated, we feeling salty. I'm like, it has no bearing on your success, but they've made you think that it does. Mm-hmm. That's the power. Yeah, look. That's more powerful than anything. I make you think that you gotta win my award or else you are subpar. You are not adequate. That's real power.
In this conversation, because we're friends, I mean, we could talk in jargon back and forth, so it's a little different. So I'm pretty sure the audience recognizes it. But that's the same way with a child, right? The child wants to be accepted. Am I correct?
Agreed. Yep.
The child wants your accolade.
Yeah.
But until you become an adult and somewhat independent, that's when you don't need the accolade. You might not need it as much from your parent. So do you see it as part of it being that?
Yeah, I do. I do, man. I do. I mean, I just look how I was raised. I mean, they never said no to me. Like, if you're gonna do it, let's figure it out. So I don't know limits. People say, what's success look like? It's very hard for me to define that. Because when I've achieved something in my life or hit some milestone, it's always been, well, what's next, young brother? I mean, literally, that's what they remind me that you ain't lived that long, man. I've been around 37 years. They're like, man, you don't know how long you're gonna live, but you're still young. That's what my elders tell me.
Plenty of years to go.
So it's like, what's your next chapter going to look like? And I think we all, I hope, are evolving into becoming what we want to become. I think some of us are afraid to, but I'm just not. I'm trying to live this authentic me of, I care about our financial well-being. I know there are other issues that plague, my community, but I'm just going to stay in my lane. And I'm going to continue to try to challenge people to just do something different. That's all. What different is for you will vary. But what I've seen us not do has us in the situation we're in right now.
So true. So I'm sorry I railroaded that first segment, the first part of it. Back to you and your parents, because it's so interesting in what you said. I had to interject for a second and try to dissect that the dichotomy of us trying to please others and not having our mind of our own to know that we can do whatever and being the first and everything else. So your parents brought you up, raised you. You said you went. Would you go? You from Durham, North Carolina. Big up, little brother and them. That's my crew right there. Coming out of there, you went to college. I see there's an A&T.
Yeah, I got the A&T mug. Yeah, proud graduate of North Carolina A&T. That also. I mean, anybody who attended an HBCU who had an enjoyable experience. It's just those years, I mean, it's kind of hard to describe like how much work was put into making sure that I left there and I was going to be about something. Like, you think about the sheer determination from the staff, from, the deans. Like, you are a direct representation when you walk off that campus with that diploma. And I felt so equipped to go out into the corporate world. Like, I was ready. And even with my first job out of college, and that's actually where I met Destrian when he joined the same company, it was like, man, we got so much talent from our institutions, but the world makes you feel like, if you don't go to a certain school, that, again, you're not good enough. And I'm just like, nah, I was told the exact opposite. I was learning the same stuff. I was in an accredited undergraduate business program, so I was ready to compete with the Ivies, with the PWIs. Right? I was ready. I mean, I was probably better prepared from some of those group projects I did. I was like, y'all didn't learn that like freshman year? We passed that. And so it kind of helped build that confidence and make me understand that, I got this. I can, like, it really built my confidence. Like, I was already confident. I mean, they just kind of poured into that. Like, you think you're good, let's make you better. If you good, let's get you to greatness. Like, let's keep pushing you to do better because you're a direct reflection of us. So yeah, man, tip my cap to HBCUs in general, but of course, A&T is the best one out there. I'll challenge any of you, but A&T, I look at that and how it propelled me to that next level.
I'm pretty sure Destrian will have something to say back to that on this episode, but we'll
absolutely.
So you left there, you went into corporate world, finance also?
Yeah, got into a program. And I would say I was fortunate, man. My first manager in the financial services realm was a Black woman. Like, we're close to this day. Like, it was so cool to like work under her and be able to ask her those questions that I knew she would like. I needed like real answers, and she was like a real one. Like, I was like, hey, I got some questions. She was like, whenever you've got something on your mind, just pull me off into let's schedule a meeting with me, and I'll be more than happy to field your question. And I asked her the most outlandish stuff you could think of, because I was just curious about how corporate works, how financial services works, how, you being a Black woman and a leader, how does that work? And, is there any potential that I can be very successful here or in this type of a role? And so, man, I just had questions after questions, and she was there to just support that. And I was like, a lot of people don't get that. Some people still don't have that in their careers right now, where they have a leader who supports what they want to do, who's willing to have that kind of open door policy. I know we talk about it, but people ain't about that life. And I think I was fortunate to be able to work under her for that first year out of college, where I was like, okay, she's one of those, I need to make sure I stay in touch with this lady because she's awesome.
Now, to transition from there, I know currently you're in insurance. So what made the shift between the financial services to go into insurance?
Nah, so I'm gonna correct you. I'm a financial planner. So I sell insurance, I sell investments, I sell financial plans. And I'm glad you said that, because I got to do a better job of explaining that to people, that depending on how you met me, you might have a narrow focus on what I can actually offer you. And so don't, no disrespect. It happens because I need to remind people that I'm licensed to do the insurance, investments, the financial plans. I know, but we connected on an insurance conversation. So yes. But I've always done all of them. I mean, when I transitioned to the financial planning realm, I understood how every product impacts your financial well-being. So insurance of any sort is a defensive strategy. You're trying to protect something, your life, your family's well-being. You're worried about your health. It's always something you're worried about protecting. So insurance will always have its place in your overall financial plan. Problem is, we don't want to get enough of it early enough in life. And so we struggle. And when we talk about creating wealth and building a legacy, well, everybody needs to get more insurance because the wealthiest people in the world have the most insurance because they have a ton of things to protect. But I still find parents who have children in real estate who don't have insurance. And I always think of, well, if you pass away sooner than expected, the kids probably going to sell the properties because they need the money. Mm-hmm. The spouse will remarry right away because they need the money. Spouses don't remarry when they got money. Just so y'all know, that's a myth. Hopefully somebody hears this and says, well, when I die, they're going to get remarried and somebody else is going to enjoy my money. No. Look at wealthy people when their spouses die. They're not quick to get remarried. Unless they just lonely, they ain't doing it for the money.
That makes sense. I never thought about that part of it.
Nobody does. That's why I'm here. I've heard it too many times. Like, I'm going to die. Somebody. No. If you die and leave your spouse, your family some money, they going to love you and they're going to hold you in high regard because you left them something, not just a bill and heartache. But then we think about the offense, right? That's the sexy stuff, the retirement, the investments, the real estate, the business. Everybody wants to talk about the offense. Problem is, we got to understand that both insurance and investments, the offense and the defense, are connected into producing a winning solution. Just like a sports team. You can score all the points in the world, but if you can't stop the other team, you're going to lose. It's been proven, right?
Let me ask you this, right? And this is just retrospect. Me coming out of college, or you coming out of college, you're already in finance, but most black professionals coming out of college do not meet you, right?
Correct.
Would you agree that's the time they should meet someone like you?
Absolutely. And go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I think that's where the disconnect is. For me and the group of people that I knew and everything else, even the ones currently today, that's why I want to have you on the show and have other professionals on the show, is because I think the disconnect, yes, someone seasoned, we're not that old, but someone who's been working for some years, they may have a plan already together, they think they have a plan, or someone who's been working and looking at retirement, they may be behind the 8 ball, missed the mark already. Not saying they can't try to catch up or try to get some part of it, but I think just like with anything else, the youth is where we could change the future for many more people.
Mm-hmm. I do not disagree. I'll use my life as an example. I started working when I was 15 as a lifeguard. That means I had earned income. I could have opened up a Roth IRA at 15. My parents didn't tell me to do that. Mm-hmm. Now, my parents did for us, but again, that's small things that I started trying to infuse in conversations that I have with parents who have children who are working. Because as long as you have earned income, you are eligible to do a retirement account, an IRA. So I have an 11-month-old daughter. She's done a few, photo shoots and things like that. So she has income. Now, we could do a retirement account for my daughter. But who's telling you to do that? No. Again, unless you're talking to somebody like me, nobody's telling you, your kid can do a retirement account.
There's no commercials on TV, on the radio, any place else where we get our news and our facts from. Y'all can't see me, but I'm putting air quotes up. Where we get our facts from that tells us to do that. So I think shows, and I'm not only talking about Cousin Ned's Corner, I'm talking about shows such as this show, such as any show on TikTok or any place else, podcasts. This is where you're finding the truth at nowadays, because you're not paying thousands of dollars for any kind of advertising ads to try to tell a message. It's free right now, everyone. It's like back in the day, you had encyclopedias, you had to go to somebody's house to borrow. Guess what? You have it in your hand. You have free information in your hand, and it's all about going out, acting on it, first researching it and acting on it. So once again, I commend you for doing what you're doing, because at the end of the day, it's going to help families in the long run.
Yeah, you said a word too. You said something very major. You got to act on it.
That's true.
Execution is how you get this stuff done. So you can research all day, watch all the YouTubes, the TikToks, and at some point you got to make a decision. And that's the part where I've probably added the most value to my client relationships has been, okay, we've discussed goals and time frames and all that. So like, what's stopping us from doing this right now? And it better be a really good excuse that's really actually preventing us from doing it. But I don't hear that from people. All I hear is, it's not a good time. And so I'm like, okay, when will it be? And then they don't give me a time. So it's almost like, it's like, you know, when they say when you're dating and you never know, that could have been like your forever person, but you didn't say hello or call them back. It could have been just something as simple as you saying hello that could have sparked a relationship or a conversation. And so when I see us with financial stuff, like we're waiting and I can't figure out what for.
I'll ask this question, and you know, it's maybe personal, maybe just be, is it more, like I said, the seasoned person, or is it the young person also, or just across the board equal?
It's usually across the board, but what it also shares with me is that if you've come from some substantial means or wealth or privilege, you understand you got to make investments in your financial plan. Like, it's not as hard of a sale when they come from that. Mm-hmm. But that's not the heavier part. That's not the bigger part of my market. I am working with people who have never met somebody like me, who doesn't have the family where they've talked about investments or insurance or retirement openly. You know, who doesn't have that village of people who all understand that this is just what we do. Mm-hmm. But people who understand the value of having clarity around their financial situation, it's pretty easy to just get it. It's a lot easier to do that. I mean, I try to help people for free and they don't show up. But then the people who value that time of mine and my service and my expertise and they pay, they're like, oh yeah, that was worth the money and then some. And I'm always gonna give you a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I can't, it's hard for me to give it away. I can't give it away. Isn't that crazy?
And this is you putting together a plan, giving them illustrations, not just you telling me something, giving you an illustration, telling me how the trajectory looking in a year, 5 years, what my child's future would be in 15, 20 years, all of that, and people still not signing up.
Absolutely. Look, man, yes. The answer is yes. I would keep trying to get creative on how I can really bust down that door inside of your head that's closed off right now. And I think it's because we're not open enough to the idea that I need to do, like, it's almost like I got to create the sense of urgency to save you from yourself. So I'll give, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, they can't see me. I got my hand up because I'm just jumping over here out of my seat. And this is my life, right? So I'll go back to my life. I think it was a disconnect with maybe not your parents, but I say our parents, you know, across the board, right? Back, grandparents, everyone had insurance. And then I think we talked about this before. The insurance was bad. It was a bad policy. But they loved their insurance guy. He came by, he brought him a toaster, he brought him cakes, he did all that stuff, right? He sent Christmas cards, and they thought he was the best person ever. Then our parents came along, and they got some other policies, and, you know, they still held on to those policies, but policies really didn't pay much either. So they didn't push, and maybe that your family, but they didn't push insurance. They didn't teach about insurance. Now we're going to the 90s, late 80s, 90s babies. There's no connections to insurance in there or financial literacy in there. And I can back up and say, go back to your grandparents. They had, the Christmas Club. They had the Rotary Club. They had all kind of funds. It may only be $5. I remember my grandmother gave me $5 in an envelope, but she saved the $5. We don't have those connections, in my personal opinion. We don't have those connections that when you come and talk to someone, that they can understand why they need it. I think that's where I feel that the gap is. I talk, I'm not financially educated like yourself. I don't do this for a living. You know, I'll tell you that Holiday Inn last night. But when I talk to people and try to give them the same knowledge that I may have, right? They look at me like I'm foreign. I'm like, but it's a disconnect because I think that, you know, it didn't come from the parents, didn't come from the grandparents. And then with TV and social media, you know, it's a curse because I would listen to was it Kanye West? We All Fall Down with Khalees. That song right there. If you go back and play that song again, he breaks it down about how social media ruins everything.
Yeah. I won't go as far as like to be that extremist type of person. I think there's good and bad, and anybody can pull out good and bad from any medium or media type. I think the issue falls with people being able to decipher what's legit and what isn't. Because if you look at a lot of the popular financial influencers across the different social platforms, a lot of them were never in financial services. They can tell stories. They've built a community. They've done like marketing very well, but nobody cares that they're not credentialed. And so I feel, or I used to feel like, well, I've taken these tests to be able to actually sell these products, but yeah, you got people on the internet just spewing whatever type of information, and people like gravitate towards that. And so I've stayed true to myself to not go that route of just trying to get the clickbait. Like I want to not just bring you in to sell you something. Like I want to build that relationship with you. And then, oh, by the way, I'm insurance licensed, investment licensed. I can do the financial plan. Like I can help you, right? I know I got the resources to be able to help you and the solutions, but we keep, like you said earlier, we keep getting distracted by the shiny new toy or the carrot on the stick, just kind of dangling, around. And I'm like, yeah, we keep falling for the okie doke. And so when you look at the wealth gap data, it doesn't improve because clearly we haven't woken up yet. Mm-hmm. We're still sleeping. We're sleeping on the importance of getting our financial house in order. And the majority of people typically don't do it until they have to. So it's like the person who has a heart attack, but you don't die. Now you want to come out the hospital. I'm going to change my whole life. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to drink water. You now needed that heart attack or that stroke. And I'm like, that could have been prevented. I'll flip it to the money game. So I think student loans are optional if the parents and grandparents had saved or invested and handed some assets down. I mean, it's not rocket science. So in listening to all the experiences of what people didn't do for their children or grandkids when they were younger, it almost just scared me like other things have happened in my life. I heard enough stories to scare me to just go ahead and just do it well in advance. So you might have said, well, Jackson, why'd you buy your life insurance at 23? Well, one, I was selling it, so I was my own client. Two, I was young, which means it's going to be more affordable. Three, I was the healthiest I was going to be at that moment because you don't get healthier as you age. And just being older is going to cost you. So my mentor was like, why would you wait? Knowing you want the house, the family, the kids, the assets, why don't you just get it now? And if you can afford it, why don't you just get it? And it just made sense to 22, 23-year-old Jasper. Why don't I just do this right now? And my friends did not understand. I'm trying to tell you about your 401k and some basics on investing. Like, man, why you all into that? Because we're going to get old one day. Aren't you going to want some money that's been growing for a decade plus? So it's almost like you don't even believe the expert. I'm totally legit. I ain't got no marks on my record. You can look me up online. But I think we're falling for gravitating towards people because it's like the cool thing to do. Like I respect a lot of the black and brown folks who've built an incredible following on the internet. I always like to occasionally slide into their DMs. I'm like, hey, who's your financial planner? I get no response. Whatever they promote, hey, what kind of policy you have? You talk about IULs. Do you have an overfunded IUL that's building substantial cash value? I get no response. And so I like to try to challenge these experts because if you pop in like that, I would love for you to be my client because apparently you are touching millions of people, but are you okay? And when I don't get that response, that lets me know, yep, I know who you are. You're doing an incredible job of selling. It's great. You made your money. Now what you gonna do with it? I got some idea. I would love to be your investment advisor. If you racking in the dough like you say you are, I would love for you to be my client. But I get no response, cuzzo. I get no response. Like, just tell me you good.
I would. We'll talk more. I want to do another series with you. And I have a couple of people I want to introduce you to, but I think the to capture the youth, if you capture them between the 18 and 23, maybe catch them early, get them into a financial program, senior year of high school, then work with them through college, mentor them. They trust you. It goes back to you bringing me a toaster, and I know that I'm getting a Christmas card.
Mm-hmm.
If we get back to that, who do I call on? I call on Mr. Bill Wealth. Who did your stuff? Mr. Bill Wealth. Oh yeah, I just went to a cruise he did with all his clients, Mr. Bill Wealth. Because it is that sense of I trust him. It's the insurance guy, it's the banker, it's those people that I remember that sent a Christmas card back in the day.
It's like your realtor, right? Who sold you your first house? You hold them in high regard because you probably didn't have all the money you needed, but they found a lender to get you approved, and you will forever remember it was broke as a joke, but they made it happen. My parents' realtor, my parents, they have, and she's helped a lot of families, and they were like, yo, we love her because won't nobody trying to fool with us, but she got it done, and they hold her in high regard.
We will talk offline about it, but that's what I see. That's what I see as one way to capture the youth. If I have a son that's 18 right now who may not listen to me, but he may listen to you. So,
sure.
Those are the ones I believe that we can capture. But I'm not gonna hold you tonight, man. I love you, fam. Tell the fam about your book. Let them know where they can find you at. But yeah, I want to bring you back.
Yeah. So the book I wrote is called The Bill Wealth Challenge, and inside of that book, there's 8 questions that you need to answer honestly. It's an easy read. The book's on Amazon. Again, it's called The Build Wealth Challenge. You can find it on Amazon, or if you go to thebuildwealthmovement.com, you'll find everything that I'm into on there. So I have a lot of articles I've written, just so you can kind of see kind of the information that I'm sharing, that I'm not always trying to be current. I just want like timeless information. So whether you look at my website after this episode or 5 years from now, it's still legit stuff that could help you no matter where you are on your journey. And you'll see that I'm not for or against anything in particular, because there's a product or a solution for everybody out there. It's just, is it the right time for you to do this? Or is it something you should have done 5-10 years ago? So thebuildwealthmovement.com, check me out. I want to have a conversation with you and see if I can be of service. I don't promise that I can work magic, but I'm pretty doggone good at working out a strategy for you. I'm pretty good at it. And we'll find out what you need to focus on to kind of move past whatever hurdles are in your way right now. I'm gonna help you get through those. Not gonna happen overnight, but with a little bit of time. And as Cuzzo was saying, like I want to build that relationship with you, so you know that I'm not just here to sell you something and leave. Like, if you buy something, great, thank you, I appreciate the support, but I need to see you continuing down this journey so you can live out the life you dream and fantasize about. Because we all dream and fantasize about being on top, about being rich, it's all positive, but what are we doing in our actual life to be able to try to live these lifestyles that we dream and fantasize about? That's what I want to help you with. And if I can be of service in some capacity, my door is always open.
Well, I definitely appreciate you, brother. 762-333-2032, 762-333-2032. Leave a text message. I will definitely share it with him. Also, you can go to cousinedscorner.com, cousinedscorner.com. Across the top of the page, you can leave a voicemail. Leave voicemail for him. I will send the voicemail and also play it on the next episode when he comes back. The key is under the mat. You can come down anytime to Cousin Ed's Corner. The brown is under the cabinet. The clear is above the cabinet next to the red cups. So come down anytime you like. Please ring the bell, because if not, some things might get loud. But honestly, I want to have you back. So let's put some time on the calendar. Let's come back and talk. Family, I love each and every one of y'all. There's nothing you can do about it. Peace.
This is AJ Wilson of the Brethren Podcast, just stopping through Cousin Ed's Corner to say this episode Not the other ones, but this one has been brought to you by the Brethren Podcast. That's spelt like bread because we always talking about it and we always getting it.
This is Jasper Smith, aka Mr. Bill Wealth, Director of Disruption of the Bill Wealth Movement. You can find me at thebillwealthmovement.com. And when I'm not working tirelessly, disrupting generational poverty for everyone, I'm listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.
Thank you for listening to Cousin